Lord's Resistance Army came to St. Mary's College at Boke at 2 in the morning.
Knocked at my window and he said, "Sister, the rebels are here." So I called
Sister
Alba.
Rakella, the
we
deputy
came at that
principal,
corner
was woken by the
and
night
we
watchman.
checked there. The whole gate was illuminated like daylight. All the torches were there.
150 girls were sleeping in the school's 4 rooms.
There we had to make a very grave decision. We said, are we going to face the rebels or are we going to hide? And because if they are there, they want the girls. If we go there, they will oblige us to open the dormitory. So we decided to hide and to pray and hope that the steel doors that are there in the dormitory will hold.
They started flashing us with torches, telling us to come out. You come out, you come out of the dormitory.
Me, I went and hid. All of us went and hid. Then they banged the bed to deceive us that we are going to kill you if you don't open the door.
So the rebels managed to terrorize the girls into letting them into that dormitory there, but this next one along, it wasn't so easy. The girls refused to let them in, and it was extremely hard to break in. These heavy steel doors resisted all attempts to bash them down, and the windows were almost as difficult. They were much bigger in those days. You can see here where they've been bricked up since, but they had heavy steel bars across them. So what the rebels had to do is they chiseled through the brickwork all the way around this window. They lifted the entire thing out. They climbed up the bars and in through the gap there. It took them several hours, but eventually they had another 70 girls completely at their mercy.
When we realized that, after when the rebels had gone and the first daylight came, we saw that big hole in the wall. The girls were all taken from the 4 dormitory. For me was a strength came inside of me that I asked one of the teachers who was there to help me, to come with me. And I told him, Bosco, will you be so kind to come with me? He said, sister, let us go to die for our girls. And we started following the same route the rebels were following. They were about 2 hours ahead of us.
It was an act of extraordinary courage. The LRA are killers. In a few hours, Sister Rakella caught up with them. She started to beg the commander to release her girls.
I kept on pleading with him. We had, like we are talking now, because he was kind to me, He never harassed me. We were talking like this. He gave me his name. He told me his name was Mariano Chaya. I told him my name. So we were discussing. Then when I pleaded for the children, he kept on saying, don't worry, I will give you the girls. But then after some times, he shook his hand like that, and he said, then he wrote on the ground, he said, the girls are 139. I will give you 109. I keep 30. He said, I knelt in front of him, and I said, please, Mariano, give me all the girls. He said, no. I had to. So
the 30 girls from a Boke school joined the thousands of children who've been abducted by the LRA in the last 10 years. Most are taken for so-called training at camps in the Sudan. These are some of the lucky ones who've managed to escape. The Ugandan army sends them to a reception center in the town of Gulu, run by World Vision and largely financed by UNICEF.
It feels like a job not fully completed, and it's a personal disappointment that we haven't seen a large number of children return. Okay, and what time is that?
UNICEF representative Kathleen Cravero is leaving Uganda. From this office in Kampala, she's conducted a 4-year campaign to alert the world to the horror of the LRA's war against children.
To take the children of a community has the same and even more devastating sort of effect as raping the women of a community. It's demonstrating that that community is powerless and there is no line beyond which the terror will not go. That's one aspect of it. The second is that the LRA actually uses these children. They use them as beasts of burden. They use them as sexual slaves and so-called wives, rewards to commanders, and they use them as cannon fodder.
On the other side of Gulu from the World Vision compound is a second run by Gusco, a local NGO, and another 200 children who've escaped from the LRA. Gusco encourages the kids to dance. It's a form of therapy. They need reminding that there are other things in life than pain and hunger and brutal killing. Many of these young people have spent years with the LRA. Even the youngest of them, like 10-year-old Francis, will tell you stories that chill your blood.
They ordered me to stab a woman 3 times. She didn't die. I shot myself. So I stabbed her 3 times. Others bashed her. Other children, more used to killing, came and took turns stabbing her. First one would stab her, then another would take her place. We left her dead, holding her baby.
Francis was 9 when he was abducted. His friend Daniel was 10. He still finds it hard to talk about the day that they took him away.
My mother was digging in the compound. They said, don't you know you should work on Friday? Then they dragged me from the house. But they killed when one of us tried to escape, to run away, 5 others killed him. One of them grabbed a spear and began stabbing him. And then they used the cat handle to smash his head.
Gusco has found that getting the children to reenact the abductions, the beatings, the forced marches, helps some of them to come to terms with their terrible memories, to remind them that what they've done, they were forced to do. The hardest to help are those who did the enforcing.
I don't get help. I'll go mad. Sometimes I feel like the way they train me to do. That's when I sit on my own.
James was abducted when he was 18. Soon after, he was made an LRA commander.
My job was to abduct anyone who tried to escape, I killed. They tried to run, I shot them. That's what I did.
How many people do you think you've killed altogether in the last 3 or 4 years?
I reckon with respect to killing people, I remember killing 120 people.
Did the LRA tell you what you were fighting for?
They told us we had to overthrow the government. Just Museveni out of power. That's what came out of their mouths.
Yoweri Museveni has been president of Uganda for over a decade. The guerrilla army which he formed in the bush to fight the murderous regime of Dr. Milton Obote is now the Ugandan People's Defence Force. Unlike all previous Ugandan armies, it's proved relatively disciplined and law-abiding, as is Museveni himself. For most Ugandans, he's the best thing that's happened to their country since independence. But the northern districts of Gulu and Kitgum are home to the Acholi people, who provided the backbone of Milton Obote's army. The war in the north started as a tribal rebellion against the southern usurper. But then it was hijacked by a demented fanatic called Joseph Kony, who claims direct communion with the Holy Spirit. The population has been forced to flee the countryside and crowd into temporary townships like Pabo, 40 kilometers outside Gulu. Do you think there is any support left amongst the Acholi people for the Lord's Resistance Army?
No, there's no support. There's no support.
Because they say they're fighting for Acholi.
They are fighting for no cause, actually, as far as I know. They're fighting for no cause.
If you look at the LRA has no coherent political agenda. When you ask what does the LRA want, they want to destroy the current government of Uganda and rule Uganda by the 10 Commandments. That's about as far as they've gone.
Throughout Acholi land, villages are deserted, fields abandoned. Joseph Kony's squalid and meaningless little war has inflicted a decade of fear and poverty on the very people he claims to be championing. There's no doubt he would have been defeated long ago if it weren't for the fact that he himself is a pawn in a much bigger war that's being fought 150 kilometers north up this road, across the border with Sudan. For 20 years, the black Christian tribes of southern Sudan have been fighting for autonomy from the Arab Islamic government in the north. The Khartoum government claims that Uganda is supporting the southern rebels, the SPLA. So it arms, supplies, and gives shelter to the Lord's Resistance Army in a gruesome tit-for-tat. It was the SPLA, in fact, who rescued Grace Akullo from a Sudanese camp. She was one of the 30 abducted from Aboke school. So far, only 9 have come back.
I thought maybe I was going to die there now, because there was no way of escaping. If you escape from Sudan, the Arabs can catch you and take you back to Kony, and they kill you. And if
the death rate in the LRA camps in Sudan, from thirst, hunger, disease and brutality,
people can die
is appalling.
Under a certain tree. You can go for water, to look for water, but you die.
Every month, the parents of the school's stolen girls meet at Aboke.
Right now, as we speak, children are still being abducted. Abduction is still continuing.
For years, the parents of abducted children in the north were reluctant to protest for fear of LRA retaliation.
They are saying they are fully
but the Aboke parents are not Acholi peasants from the local villages. They're articulate middle-class people from all over Uganda.
And they will struggle with us together.
Isabella is a teacher in Kampala. Her daughter is in the camps in Sudan.
We said no, we cannot keep quiet over our daughters. Why should we keep quiet? Let us keep on yelling until the whole world come to assist us if possible.
The parents have formed themselves into an effective lobby group. Their representatives have traveled to Sudan and even to the UN in New York. They're calling on the world to pressure Sudan to stop supporting the LRA. And they want their own government to sit down and talk to Joseph Kony.
He's a very unpredictable man. But because we parents are desperate, we want to try. Because he is our children. What other ways can we get the children away from his grief? That is why we want to try for negotiation.
Do you still believe then? But President Museveni insists that his army can still defeat the LRA.
It's possible. It's possible.
So you're not going to negotiate with Joseph Kony?
We cannot negotiate about. Our constitution does not allow us to negotiate about power sharing with the bandits, because the constitution says how you can gain office. You go and stand in the constituency or in a local government area. So we cannot really negotiate with them on that. But we can give them amnesty so that they come out.
Have you done that?
Yes, we have done it in the past. and we can do it again.
Are you going to do it again?
We may do it again, but even to give for them to accept amnesty, they need a military stick. The military stick is inevitable.
And so the war in the north grinds on. But few observers up here have the faith in his soldiers that the president seems to have. The ragtag companies that are fighting the rebels in the north are a far cry from the spick and span battalions we saw parading in the south. Sing patriotic songs though they might, they're plainly incapable of protecting the population, let alone of defeating the rebels. We travelled one day with a World Vision truck along the dangerous road from Gulu to Kitka. This is the heart of rebel territory. World Vision had been promised an army escort, but it never appeared. Their cargo was precious, 24 escapees from the LRA. World Vision had done all it could for them by way of post-trauma therapy. Now they were going back to their families, but not to safety. Kitgum is smaller than Gulu, closer to the Sudanese border, much more vulnerable to LRA raids. A World Vision worker accompanied 10-year-old Patrick to his home on the outskirts of the town. Patrick had been abducted only weeks before, but his family could hardly believe he'd returned to them alive. So many had not.
We didn't have any
But even here in Kitgum town, there's no guarantee that Patrick will be safe. That was graphically demonstrated on the very day we took him home. Just down the track, we heard the sound of wailing. The dead man's name was Simon Onnen. He'd been killed hours earlier in the small hours of the morning by an LRA raiding party. They left him beaten and stabbed to death at the edge of the town and took away 3 adults and 3 more children.
What is happening to children in Uganda is a crime against humanity. And the longer that any group, anywhere in the world, can get away with this brutality, it diminishes all of us.
I don't know why they are doing these things, but we are praying that God may bring out the goodness that I'm sure is still present in them, to make them realize the wrong that they are doing, and let them release all, not only our girls, but all the children. Please let the children come home. You can do that. But let the children come home.